Welcome to SALCI free webinar series for July. And for us to formally start the program, we will have our opening prayer followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Lord Jesus, as we enter this training hall, we bring your presence with us. We speak your peace, your grace, and your perfect order into the atmosphere of this room. We acknowledge your lordship over all that will be spoken, thought, decided and accomplished within this day. Lord Jesus, we thank you for the gifts you have given to each one of us. We do not take them lightly, but we commit in using them responsibly and well. Give us fresh supply of truth and beauty to which we draw our strength in doing our job. Anoint our creativity, our ideas, and our energy so that even our smallest task may bring you honor. Lord, when we're confused, guide us. When we're weary, energize us. Lord, when we're burned out, infuse us with the light of your Holy Spirit. May the work that we do, and the way that we do, bring hope, life, and courage to all that we come into contact with. And Lord, even in this day's most stressful moments, may we find rest in you. In your strong and powerful name, we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Welcome again to our SALCI webinar series. And this time, we will talk about the most important competency that would either make or break a career in you, and that is communication. Guided again by our mission of sustaining our academia and industry partnership, providing aviation-related programs, as we unveil SALCI online distance learning through a webinar series this July, it is our pleasure to have, and of course, we're very happy that very good speakers have joined us for this webinar series. It is through this webinar series that we could be able to inform all our network schools, all our SALCI students, colleges, universities, that SALCI is ready to integrate our online training programs with their curriculum. And for this second webinar, we are so blessed to have here with us schools, students, who have registered. The first webinar series, we are blessed with 276 registrants. And for this webinar series, we are so happy that it has increased already. We have 433 students joining us, both in the Zoom webinar and as well as our FB live stream. For the schools that have joined us for this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge the following: CEU Manila, PhilSCA, University of Rizal System Tanay Rizal, St. Louis College, San Fernando, La Union, Cavite State University, Philippine National Science High School Calabarzon Region Campus. We also have STI colleges, various branches, We also have University of Visayas, Cebu. We also have Camarines Sur Polytechnic, Olivares College, San Beda Alabang, Potts College of Aeronautics, and other individuals who choose to join us this afternoon. Moving on with our event for today, our speaker is a UN SGD ambassador, a senior consultant in ACG Human Capital Solutions, a professor on education and liberal arts. Proud to mention that he is a resident Q&A coach of Kagandahang, Flores, a director for corporate communication of Philippine Floral Queens, ICSM Infinity Pageants, a trainer for Civil Service Institute. And if you can recall a beauty queen saying, a silver lining, definitely it is coming from this coach. Let us all please welcome Mr. Jonathan Chong to talk about the essentials of communication.
Hello, good afternoon. Great to be here, and I'd like to thank SALCI for inviting me to be part of this. It's really an honor, and it's my pleasure to be here. And hope you guys learned something today. Learning is the new, so yeah, let's move on. Okay, it's like I'm not really a fan of online stuff, but we really don't have a choice today. I wish everybody to keep safe and to embrace the new normal as we need to embrace it, you know. Okay, so can we start? Our webinar for today is about 21st century communication. And I was told that we want everybody to be competitive, no? But I would like to encourage everybody to not to compete with others. During your interview, job interview, and your day-to-day lifestyle, day-to-day activities, the best thing that I would tell everybody is to compete with oneself. No, the greatest competitor is you and not others. Because if we get to compete with others, then the intention that we give out to the universe is not right. But if you compete with yourself and become better versions of yourself, then you would be successful. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our slide. Okay, by the end of this session, you will be able to define behavioral interviewing, explain the benefits of behavioral interviewing for organizations and candidates, identify the steps in preparing and conducting behavioral interviews and behavioral reference checks, identify and write behavioral interview questions, and develop tools to evaluate candidates. Um, our the 21st century skills would involve really involve behavioral types of interviews. So you guys should be able to be ready to come up with answers that would focus on behavior. Okay. All right. Sample behavioral interview questions. For example, describe a situation where you had to defend or explain an idea or proposal. Who was the audience? What were the issues? And what was the outcome? Describe a situation where you had to complete work with little or no direction from supervisors or colleagues. As you can see, it's really describing a situation. In communication, we have the STAR method. No? STAR method, STAR. S stands for situation. T stands for task, A stands for action, R stands for results. So you have to give them the situation, no? The situation that you have found yourself in. Now for the task, so what are you required to achieve? You have to be able to give out tasks that are tangible, not vague, no? Just like when I coach our beauty queens, our candidates in beauty pageants, I always tell them to answer how, no? It's easy to say, oh, I'm here to inspire people. I want to inspire others. And then period. That's not bitin po siya. So you have to answer, how are you going to inspire others? So come up with 3 alternatives. That's where action comes in. So like, what did you do? Provide three alternatives, three tangible alternatives. Always remember the power of three, okay? And of course, results, R stands for results. It means the outcome. Did you meet all the objectives? So what did you achieve through your actions? Everything has to be correlated, okay? I also would like to introduce to you the SOARA method, SOARA. Again, S stands for situation, O objective, A action, R results, and A aftermath. For situation, so present a challenge, no? Just like when Pia Wurtzbach answered the question, her final question in Miss Universe, isn't it that, ano siya, three talaga eh, three parts siya. So there's a situation, there's a situation, there's task, there's action, and there's results. So she started like being a Miss Universe, something like that is both an honor and responsibility. So that's a situation. And actions, task and actions would involve, she mentioned about HIV awareness and all that. You know, actions oriented. Eh. And how did she end it? She ended with being confidently beautiful with a heart. So that's the Miss Universe motto. So at the end of at the end of your statement, you have to come up with an impactful statement that would make the audience or anybody that you're talking to, there's like the wow factor, okay? So the three parts would involve the head, heart, and gut. That's the Tapalya method. Um, the first part, you target the cognitive intelligence. It means there's like, you have to define, no? And then the intro body conclusion po yan eh. So head, heart, and gut. Cognitive intelligence, head. And then yung head, heart. Yung heart po would be the emotional intelligence part, your feelings and emotions. The gut would be the intuitive part, okay? So three parts of communication. If you meet all three, then you're good. But I also would like to say something about English communication. There's a difference between pronunciation and enunciation. Pronunciation is when you speak the words correctly. Enunciation is when you speak the words clearly. In the Philippines, yes, we have Philippine English. So whenever our fellow Filipinos say something that is not yung hindi yung mali siya, mali yung pronunciation po niya, let's not laugh at them. Or kasi there's Philippine English eh. American English naman is what we actually speak in the Philippines. So the reference for that is the Webster's Dictionary. If you want to speak UK English, then you can use the Oxford Dictionary and Cambridge Dictionary. So in the Philippines, we speak American English. We use American English rather, but we speak with a neutral accent. Okay. So for example, yung enunciation po, I'd like to enunciate the word perfect. No? So as you can see, as you've heard, it ends with a t, like perfect. Pero kapag Pilipino, sinasabi po natin perfect. Tama po ba? So it ends with a K. So but if you speak Tagalog, it's okay to say perfect. But if you speak English, you have to say perfect. Okay? So that's just an example of enunciation. It means the vowels and the consonant sounds have to be enunciated. So, okay lang po sasabihin natin na, hey, I believe that you're really perfect versus I believe that you're really perfect. So, yun po ang difference. Pero pag Tagalog, okay na sabihin natin, naniniwala po ako na perfect ka. Tama po yun. Okay? So that's the difference between pronunciation and enunciation. Okay? So going back to the sample behavioral questions, as you can see there, you always have to keep everything short and simple. So that's the acronym KISS. But I'd like to add the acronym, the word sweet. So keep it short, sweet, and simple. So you have to describe a situation. Usually po sa HR interview, they are very particular with how you deal with challenges. For example, describe to me a situation where you encountered colleagues who are not okay to work with. So then you have to come up with an answer describing that situation and how are you going to deal with that kind of situation or how you have dealt with that kind of situation, okay? Next slide. Okay, for the benefits of behavioral interviewing for employers, we hire the best person for the job. It's more productive more quickly, less initial training and development, greater chance of retention. Individual performance is linked to organizational performance. Now, for candidates, better application of one's skills to job, matching people to job leads to increased satisfaction, self-esteem, and confidence, can immediately see their direct contribution to organizational goals, and sees organization as a place to build a career. Now, before going to a job interview, you have to do a research on the company. Information is very much available and it's readily available. It's very accessible. Do a research about the company and focus on their mission, vision, and their core values, and relate them to your core values, to your personal core values. Okay? Mm-mm. Kaya po, sa mga beauty pageants ngayon, importante po talaga yung values. As you have, if you're a fan of beauty pageants, you can see candidates, no, focusing on values. Kaya may mga advocacy. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd like, okay, these are the tips, no? You have to think strategically. So if you go for an interview, see the organization as somebody who can help you. But HR officers would also check on your contribution to the organization. So you have to outline your contributions. What is it that you can bring to the table? Okay. So what are your organization's workforce and strategic plans? More so, I'd like to relate it to yourself because you're the one being interviewed. So, okay, so how does your division, unit, etc., contribute to organizational goals and objectives? Okay, how does the specific job you will be recruiting and interviewing for contribute to organizational goals and objectives? Going back, what is it that you can contribute? So when you go for an interview, or not just an interview, if you're doing a presentation, you have to be ready. It's just like when you go to a battle, you have to arm yourselves with weapons. You can't go to an interview or a presentation or meeting and you end up apologizing, saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. Okay, once you go to a specific undertaking, you have to be ready. Okay, so dapat lahat po kompleto. Okay, next. So identify the keys needed for successful performance. So must be detailed to what you're looking for in your position now and in the future. Consider personal, interpersonal, as well as technical skills. Ito po yung hard and soft skills, no? Hard skills would be your key competencies, no? Like what you have learned in college. These are hard skills. But soft skills, yun po yung communication skills, leadership skills, time and how do you cope with stress, no? Emotional intelligence. Hard skills would be the cognitive intelligence. Soft skills, emotional intelligence. Okay. And of course, don't forget the organizational environment. And your goal is to get a good and job person match. It means your objectives should be able to match to that of the organizational objectives. Okay. Next, review and if needed, update the current job description. Make sure that it reflects the values needed for successful job performance. The very first question or statement that HR managers or HR interviewers would ask you is, tell me something about yourself. So if you encounter that kind of statement, you don't tell them like, tell me something about yourself. And then you don't tell them like, you don't tell them your course in college or the school that you came from. Instead, you focus on your values, no? You can say, tell me something about yourself. Oh, I'm a fast learner. I'm patient. I'm very responsible. So focus on your values instead of telling them superficial information that they can actually read from your resume. Okay, you don't tell them, oh, I live in Pasig or I live in Makati or Mandaluyong. Instead, focus on your values because that's where we are going to look at. Okay, next. Develop a list of behavioral questions that focus on the essential elements of your job. Here, zero in on the key competencies that are needed to perform successfully in the job. Make sure that you know the position that you're applying for, okay? You can't go to an interview applying for a job, let's say the position of a flight attendant, tapos hindi nyo po alam kung ano yung job scope and responsibilities that that come with being a flight attendant. So awareness is very important. Okay, you have to be aware of what you're getting yourself into, of what you're diving yourself into. Okay. Now, in behavioral questions, we focus on what the person has done in the past, not what they think that they might do in the future. So always remember what is important to the job and the organization. So behavioral questions are open-ended questions that may begin with such phrases as describe a time, tell us more about, what is an example of when have you, what were, what, how, where, why, when did you. So open-ended po siya. Okay, close-ended questions are answerable by yes or no, but in behavioral questions, these are situational questions that would require behavioral and situational answers as well. Okay. Okay, here, for example, when you seek both positive and negative examples of behavior, here, describe a time when a project you worked on received organizational recognition. So how are you going to answer that? Okay, so use the STAR method. Tell us about a time when you made a mistake. So what were the consequences and what you have learned from the incident? As you can see, it's very important yung remember earlier when I mentioned the SOARA, we have the situation, objective, action, results, and aftermath. The aftermath po is what did you learn from the experience? These are lessons. These are your reflections. Okay. So in presentations, also in communication, there are isn't it that earlier I mentioned about intro, body, conclusion? There are several ways to come up with an intro. You can either start your presentation or the meeting with a question or a quotation. And you can also use a powerful statement and a story. Okay, these are four ways to start an introduction. A quote, you have gazillions of quote on Google, but of course, if your meeting is about accounting or finance, you don't come up with a quote that is irrelevant to the objective of the meeting. So everything should be relevant. Again, quote, a question, you pose a question, you tell a story, and you come up with a powerful statement. Of course, and then you have your body. And your conclusion, how to drive your conclusion, you have to go back to the first part, how you started the introduction. If you started with a quote, then you also have to end it with a quote. If you start with a question, then in your conclusion, you have to answer the question. If you start with a story, then with like once upon a time, then you have to end it with happily ever after. And if you started with a powerful statement, you should end it with an impactful statement. If you have time, please go to YouTube and watch the competition where Miss World, I think 1993, where Rufa Gutierrez is as our official representative. She ended up being second princess. She actually quoted the Little Prince. Okay, there. So just take a look at that kind of example. Okay. All right. Am I going too fast? Yung nga sa ano no, yung sa online lahat pag Zoom lahat tayo naka-mute. Okay, but please feel free to post your questions later. Okay, so irrelevant questions. Next slide, please. There. Keep it simple pala. Let's go back. Where are we? Okay, make sure that it focuses to what is critical to your job. Keep it simple. So remember the acronym KISS. Remember, if you go to an interview or if you're in a meeting, please use simple words. This is not the right time to use words that are so difficult to understand and words that can only be found in the dictionary. Kasi meeting po ito. lalo na rin pag sumasali tayo sa contest, no? You only, like beauty queens, they only have 30 to 45 seconds. So we can't use highfalutin words, no? This is not the right time to impress. There's a difference between joining a beauty pageant, going to a job interview, and facilitating a meeting versus essay writing. Or if you're in the academic environment, where in literature classes, you use the figures of speech. So okay lang po yun kapag nasa lit classes tayo, you can use those words to impress your professors or even yourself. But in business writing or in any other speaking endeavor that has time limit, please use simple words, okay? Next slide. Okay, so here, examples of, do we have time pa? Okay, examples of behavioral reference check questions, for example, in writing. So this job requires writing and editing papers with minimal supervision. So for example, does Mary perform this type of work in her current position? If so, what is your assessment of her writing and editing skills? So what types of documents has she written and edited? Now, change leadership. Did Jordan deal with any major change or upheaval while he was with your organization? What was the change and how did he deal with it? So yung how did he deal with it? Yan po yung actions. Yan po yung aftermath, reflection, lessons. Doon po natin makikita. Okay? Next, please. Next slide. Okay. I'd like to introduce to you to life orientations. In communication, we have to focus on our strengths. And let's not compare our qualities to that of others. I always advise the girls to in Binibini and whatever beauty pageant that they want to join, or even my students, no, my trainees, do not compare yourself sa ibang tao. So when you are in a beauty pageant, you focus on what you can do, no, to improve yourself better. Because each of us, we have different qualities, we have different characteristics, different traits. So hindi mo pwede sabihin, ay, si ganito mas magaling sa akin. Gusto ko maging siya. No, hindi pwede yon. Gusto mo maging ikaw. Dapat ganun yung attitude na ini-embrace natin, no? Okay, let's go back to life orientation. It's a practical application of behavioral science that promotes individual and group productivity. The LIFO method begins by identifying preferred life orientations or behavioral styles. Meaning po, you're going to identify your strengths. Later on, if you have notes there, you have your pen and paper, take note of which orientation you belong, and then you focus on your strengths, no? Okay. So LIFO method focuses on maximizing your strengths, managing your potential weaknesses, and has a common language and values individual differences. Okay, 4 windows to the world. As you can see, this is supporting give. You have 4 orientations: supporting giving, controlling taking, adapting dealing, and conserving holding. According to Dr. Atkins, we humans have 4 orientations. These are the orientations. Now, later on, you try to check po kung saan orientation nyo and use those strengths to be able to translate to your competent communication skills, okay? So for example, supporting giving, there's a mountain, no? The keyword here is excellence because the mountain symbolizes working harder to reach higher levels and excellence. For controlling taking, there's like lightning kasi action-oriented to, no? Lightning means a flash of energy for intense effort and quick action. For adapting dealing, harmony, kaya siya rainbow, okay? So the rainbow symbolizes the uplifting energy of relationships focused on harmony. Most Filipinos belong to this orientation in adapting dealing because we are very careful with our words during meetings. We are very careful with our words. We don't want to offend other people. So gusto natin palaging happy, no? Which is okay lang naman. But what I'm saying is most Filipinos belong to this type of orientation. Now for conserving holding, it's a star map. The symbol here is a star map because it symbolizes order and system, organizing complexity with reason. Ito po yung mga kasamahan natin na mahilig magbigay ng rason because sila nga yung conserving holding. Most at lawyers are conserving holding. They belong to this kind of orientation. Most business people belong to controlling taking. Lalo ni mga bosses, mga managers, supervisors, controlling taking sila kasi action eh. So it means if you talk to them, dapat quick ang response. Okay? Most of our friends, supporting giving yan. They give you support, they give advice. No? Again, friends, significant others, adapting dealing. So you'd be able to check your strengths. No? Tas yung strengths po natin, let's ibagay natin po sa kung saan orientation natin. Okay? For supporting giving, the philosophy is if I prove my worth by working hard and pursuing excellence, I will be able to realize my goals. As you can see, your goals there are proving your worth and be helpful. Here, look at your strengths. Tingnan po natin if you belong to this type of orientation. If you're thoughtful, idealistic, modest, trusting, cooperative, helpful, receptive, responsive, seeks excellence, loyal, it means supporting giving. Ito po yung strengths nyo. So when communicating with people belonging to supporting giving orientation, and when you communicate to with yourself, no, you focus on these strengths. Okay, so the way you communicate should revolve around being thoughtful, being idealistic, being modest, trusting, helpful, receptive, and all that. Okay, controlling taking, again, most business people, most bosses, supervisors, those people, leaders, no, yung may mga tao under them, they are controlling taking. Goals are being competent is to get results. Ayaw nila mga drama-drama. So if you communicate with them, dapat mabilisan, no? They don't like beating around the bush. So you give them what they need, you give them what they want, okay? So if I can get results by being competent and seizing opportunity, what I desire will be there for the taking. Your strengths are directing, quick to act, confident, seeks change, persuasive, forceful, competitive, risk-taking, persistent, and urgent. You might think that being forceful is negative. Hindi po yan. These are all strengths, no? Strengths and weaknesses. Weaknesses only how do I say this? Okay, nagkakaroon lang po tayo ng weakness. Weaknesses are mere excess of your strengths. Kaya po nagiging weakness yon, galing rin po yan sa strengths natin. So pag, we all know that anything in excess is not good. So kapag na-excess naman yung strengths natin, yun na po ang nagiging weakness natin. For example, if you describe yourself as, oh, I'm confident, that's your strength. Pero kapag nasobrahan ng pagiging confident, what happens? Then you become arrogant. So being arrogant is your weakness na. You understand? So for example, if you say, oh, I'm practical. Being practical is a strength. Pero pag nasobrahan naman ng pagiging practical, then you become unimaginative. So what I'm trying to tell you is you should be able to magnify your strengths, then you also manage your strengths, okay? That's where you'd be able to communicate well, okay? Next, conserving holding. Okay, goals is to go slow and be sure. Again, if you look at the star map, sila yung mga how the obsessive compulsive ba? Diba? I want to take it positively, you know. So philosophy, if I think before I act and make the most of what I've got, I can build up resources to accomplish my goals. Strengths would be tenacious, practical, economical, reserved, factual, steadfast, thorough, methodical, detailed, oriented, and analytical. Minsan, kung halimbawa tayo ay supporting giving and we communicate with someone in the accounting department, isn't it that they check your and you're seeking budget approval, and all of a sudden you meet somebody from the accounting department, tapos inisa-isa po nila, no? Tapos tayo yung, ay, ano ba to? Bakit ba to inisa-isa? Hindi nilang tingnan yung total, ganyan-ganyan. But, you know, we have to understand that that person in the accounting department belong to the conserving holding category, orientation rather, and they're very detailed oriented, okay? So, sila yun eh. So we can't judge na bakit ganito sila, bakit ganyan sila. Instead, we have to understand them. At the same time, you also have to understand yourself, okay? Next, adapting dealing. So there's the rainbow, okay? So goals is to know people and you get along with. You don't want to create enemies, even if you like feel naiinis ka na sa kasamahan mo sa trabaho, pero hindi mo masabi, no? Sa kanila because you don't want to offend them. So that's okay. because you belong to the category or the orientation of adapting dealing where you value harmony. Okay, so philosophy, if I'm aware of other people and feel their needs first, then I can get my needs filled that I've wanted all along. So may ano rin to yung pagiging adapting dealing, may of course there's downside. Lahat naman po may downside. Parang ano yan, parang love, no? How can you love? Importante po kasi you have to love yourself muna. So if you love yourself, then it's easy for you to love others. So how can you give love 101% of love to others if you only give 90% of love to yourself? So dapat ang love na binibigay natin sa ating sarili 102. Yeah. Okay. So again, going back to adapting dealing, the strengths are flexible, tactful, socially inept, youthful, enthusiastic, adaptable, inspiring, experimental, negotiating, and animated. Okay. Next. So at the center of all this orientation is you, ikaw. So the way you communicate would revolve around this the LIFO style interpretation, as you can see. So you're at the center, then you have their managing time, because the way you communicate with yourself and others, ano siya, it connects to other factors, no? Your other soft skills. There you go. It's, as you can see, there's managing time, stress management, leadership skills, conflict management, career development, sorry for the typo, negotiating and selling skills, improved contribution to group and team communication skills, improved learning capacity. Okay. All right. I also would like to add in mga tips in communication. If you, again, we have this thing as we call Philippine English. No, Philippine English, our words also, our English words also, our English words applicable in the Philippines. For example, CR, rubber shoes, salvage. Kasi 'di ba ang salvage meaning is to save, pero sa Philippines sinasabi natin salvage victim yung yung ano yung napatay, no? So but if you say, oh, there's a salvage victim, kahit mali yun in the context of American and UK English, in the Philippines it's acceptable. Okay? Kasi nga we use the word salvage instead of to save, we use it like for someone who was killed, no? Other forms of other words of Philippine English, yung I'm going down the bus. No? Pag bumababa na ako ng bus, sinasabi natin going down. So sa Pilipinas, tama po yun, I'm going down. Pero sa Amerika or sa ibang bansa na English speaking po sila, you don't say you go down the bus. Kasi if you go down, saan tayo pupunta? Baka sa manhole na tayo. So we say get off the bus or get off the elevator. Okay? So these are some of the words. These are acceptable po siya sa Pilipinas. Okay? So if you hear people, if you hear fellow Filipinos using Philippine English, let's not laugh at them. No? Instead, you know, we should understand kasi meron talagang Philippine English. Meron din Singapore English, Malaysian English, Indian English. So these are world Englishes, okay? But in school, in the Philippines, we use American English, okay? And I also would like to emphasize on stress and intonation. For example, I'll give you a sentence. The sentence goes, take the time to do your best. Lagyan natin ng stress yung take. So we say, take the time to do your best. And then, if you want to put stress on time, you say, take the time to do your best. So, depende po kung saan nilagay yung stress, nag-iiba yung meaning. There's a difference when you say between take the time to do your best, take the time to do your best, take the time to do your best, take the time to do your best. No? Depending on kung saan nyo po ilalagay yung stress at yung emphasis, nag-iiba yung meaning. So, sa communication, we also have to be aware of that. No? It's a whole enchilada of communication skills, the whole enchilada of everything. It's head, heart, and gut. No, cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, and intuitive intelligence. You put them all together, okay? And there. And for intonation naman, we have to be aware of the rising and falling intonation. Kapag rising intonation, it applies to questions like, what's your name? Where do you live? So rising. Falling intonation is when you say a statement like, my name is Eileen. So that's a statement, falling intonation. But what's your name? Rising intonation. My name is Eileen. Falling intonation. Okay. Um, there. Okay, and later on, kung may mga tanong, just feel free. Okay. And I also would like one good lesson in life in life, you have to work with someone who you think na mas magaling sa atin. In the Philippines po kasi, if we feel that someone is better than us, we feel threatened. No, hindi po dapat ganon. Instead, we should be proud of being able to work with someone who now we think na mas magaling sa atin, because we need to be able to learn from each other. We have to bank on each other's ideas. We work together because syempre, ang dami kong ideas. Gusto ko mas magaling sa akin yung tao kasi marami din siyang ideas. No? So we mesh them, we put them together. And we have to learn how to cheer for others. And cheer for yourself, more for others too. Yung attitude po natin dapat we have to lift each other no? So kaya nga may silver lining. By the way, hindi po ako kilala sa pageant world ng full name ko. Most of the girls call me Tita JC. So JC from my initial, so that's my nickname. So yun po, yun yung tita. So I never thought that I would be a tita na. Pero sige lang, okay? Tanggap ko na rin po yun. Okay, so I'd like to leave with the three T's in communication. Letter T, no? Three T's. You have to remember what you will tell them. You have to remember what you have told them, and you have to remember what you tell them. Baliktarin nga natin ulit, sorry. Dapat present, past, and future, no? Remember what you tell them. Remember what you have told them, and you have to remember what you will tell them. That's the three T's of communication that you have to remember. Now, as you can see sa slide po, it says that there. I'd like to end this with a quote, no? Never take someone's feelings for granted because you never know how much courage that they took it to show it to you. Ibabalik ko po naman sa inyo. So never take your own feelings for granted because you never know how much courage that it took you to show it to others. Okay? Thank you. I hope you guys have learned something today. And just feel free to contact Miss Eileen for future collaboration. And there. Now we're open to questions. Miss
Yes,
Eileen,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much. That was a very, very healthy topic on communication. And if I could probably just share some few points of learnings, we consider this our takeaways. Okay, we have method STAR, situation, task, and results. We also have SOAR, SOAR, situation, objective, action, and result. But
And
what
A,
is so
aftermath.
Yes, and what is so
Soar.
inspiring about this communication topic that we actually focus on the heart and the head, cognitive and intuitive, is the presentation of the four windows of the world. This is I would like to believe our viewers, our students was able to relate very, very well. So if you're a mountain, a lightning, a rainbow, or a star map, okay, this is how you would actually reflect on how important communication is all about. And that would definitely evolve all around the lifestyle of interpretation, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sir Jonathan. I'm sure, okay, we are leaving our viewers hanging because they are expecting for more, but definitely we will give them more. But in the meantime, we would like to have, of course, questions from our students, our viewers. The first question, Sir Jace, is coming from Giancarlo de los Santos.
Hi, Gian.
His question is, what is the best way to answer employment docs? Is it okay to tell the truth why you left the job, like because of salary, because of mismanagement, etc.? So, Sir Jonathan, your take on this, please.
Well, my take on that, it's okay as you formulate your answers in a positive tone. No? Positive tone po siya. It's okay to tell the truth, but it's also okay to not divulge anything. But make sure that if you say something about your previous job, wala pong negative. No negative experiences even if you have. You don't have to tell that. Kasi makikita po nilang interviewer yung attitude natin. It's how you cope with challenges. We all know that life is not perfect. No? We need to be able to become very resilient, to be able to balance between what's positive and what's negative. So, yun. Say it with a positive tone. So, going back, mas gusto ko kasi talaga face-to-face communication. Kaya po maraming nag-aaway sa social media because pag comments po, there's no emotions. So like, and I mean, there's so many ways to say good morning, right? Say, good morning, or good morning. Ay, nako, good morning. Ito na naman yung bruha. You know what I'm saying? So, iba kasi ang written at iba yung um, verbal communication. So, yun lang, I just injected it sa sasabihin ko kasi I failed to mention this earlier. We have to really be aware of tone, intonation, pitch, rate, volume, speed when talking, okay? When dealing with verbal communication. Okay. Going back to the question, yes, it's okay to tell them the truth, but say it with a positive tone. Dapat yung gleeful, yung with glee, yung masaya ka. Okay? We don't talk bad things about previous employers or even previous relationships. No? We have to let go of the past and welcome the positive vibe. Yun po yung kaya nagkaroon ng silver lining. Okay? So, yun. It means we have to train ourselves to see the good in every situation. Thank you. Wow.
Yes,
Bongga,
thank
Miss
you so
Philippines
much.
Earth.
Bongga talaga. Very true. Because if I also may relate myself, whenever we are conducting interview, we do not actually look at, of course, our candidates relating to us, the negative thoughts or the negative experience right away. Because basically, we as interviewers, what we are actually looking at for our candidates is how they would actually be able to present themselves, the ideas,
Yes,
in a
tama po.
very positive way, relating it as if it is already just like a story, which probably they learn something and that's how they actually verbalize it.
Yes, you're welcome, Gian. I saw something there na parang English ba? Is it required to speak English? May nakita lang po ako.
Yeah.
Is it required to speak English or something? Pag sa interview po, if you're being asked, no, in English, then you have to answer in English. If you're being asked in Tagalog, Filipino, or any other vernacular, then you have to answer in Filipino. So depende po 'yon sa kung anong language, mode of language, anong language ng ginamit ng interviewer. Okay, so but if you're in a meeting, depende. There's formal, informal meetings. So there's no really particular rule. Kasi I've always believed, Miss Eileen, that regardless of language, as long as people understand what you're saying, as long as you're able to convey the messages, as you're able to get the messages across, and people understand you, it doesn't matter what kind of language na ginamit natin.
Right, right.
Mm-mm.
Very,
It's
very
so very,
true.
very Janine Tugonon.
Right, very true. We have another question, Sir Jace. This is from Favens Aki Corpus. Do you have any advice for some people who have social anxiety in order for them to overcome it during job interview, as it is a challenge for them to interact with other people?
Okay, social for communication po, we have exercises on that. No, the use of voice, and we do mindfulness exercises as well. So social anxiety is normal to everybody. So especially with our Filipino culture na hiya, no? So it's innate na wag kang mayabang, na innate sa atin 'yan. So instead parang even if we want to highlight our qualities and characteristics, hindi natin yung masabi because we're scared that people might brand us as mayabang. Pero
Mhm.
so we have to overcome that. So there's exercises. Do your tongue twisters, do your facial exercises as well. Yung mga meron, hindi ko magawa na dito, but basta yung you have to stretch your facial muscles. Ginagawa rin po natin yan sa mga sasali ng pageants. Kung nakikita po natin yung mga babae nasa on stage sa mga beauty pageants, if you can see them na hindi sila makasagot, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean na wala silang utak, no? When you're on stage with all the lights, with all the people cheering and even jeering at you, kakabahan ka talaga.
Mhm.
Hindi yun, we don't call, if you're not able to answer the question, it doesn't mean that, we don't call that mental block. It's part of this phase po, frozen siya, kasi hindi natin na-exercise to. So you have to stretch your facial muscles. There's like, just Google or find it on YouTube on facial exercises. Yung mga, you have to exercise your mouth, your tongue. So whenever you're being posed a question, then words will come out naturally. Kasi this part po, dapat nare-relax. Ito po kasi hindi natin nagagamit lagi. So this has to be relaxed, no? For you to be able to overcome your anxiety. Okay? And remember, social anxiety, kung sino man nag-i-interview po sa atin, sino man kaharap natin, pareho lang naman tayo. Para tayong tao. So do not be intimidated, okay? Just be yourself, okay? Focus on your qualities, on your strengths. Kung ano ka, kung sino ka, you have to embrace it. And that will translate to better communication skills.
Yes, definitely. And when you know what you are speaking, definitely you won't feel nervous. You will feel more confident, confidently beautiful. And probably when you are talking and body language, hand movement is unnecessary. There are
Mm-hmm.
also tips on how you would, how where you will place your hands when you are sitting. This body
Right.
language should
Just put it sa
properly
lap.
observe as well.
Opo. Mm-mm. Or
Right,
do this, yung ganon. Ganon lang.
right,
Na
right.
hindi yung ganyan-ganyan. Kasi hindi naman declamation contest ang interview.
Right. Because there are a lot of people, or probably some, we notice that when we are talking, they are already slapping back or probably tapping other persons, and they are actually unaware of it. For them, it's
Mm-mm.
just part of their expression, right?
Mm-mm, right. I also would like to say something on pronunciation and enunciation. Kasi nga po, in American English, there are three accentuated syllable letters: K, T, and P. No, so
Mm-hmm.
K like K, hindi siya ka, or T, it's like table, hindi siya table. Um, Peter Pan, no? May yun mga accentuated letters, no? So pero kapag if we speak Filipino, it's okay to say Peter Pan. Kasi yun yung abakada, yung pa eh. So Peter Pan, okay siya. Philippine English po siya. Pero in American English, we say Peter Pan. It's okay to say table when you speak English, or perfect, yung accentuated syllable is at the end of the word. Pero kapag nasa Tagalog na or Filipino na, we say table. Eh, okay lang din. Yun po talaga yun eh. But we have to be aware. We have to code switch eh. If we speak English, then we enunciate in English. Say, I can see a
Mm-hmm.
table right there versus I can see a table right there. Di po ba? Yun.
Right. And we also have another question, sir. How, or probably this one, what are the tips or formula to be more engaging as a communicator?
To be more engaging as a communicator, you have to read. You have to have lots of knowledge. Read about Peter Drucker's work, Stephen Covey, John Maxwell, and all other stuff that you read. Read books. You have to be knowledgeable, not super duper intelligent, but knowledgeable. And you have to know yourself better. Knowing yourself better is knowing your own worth and value. What's important is you have to validate who you are. You have to don't seek that validation from others. Your worth is not measured by what other people say who you are. No, your worth is measured by what you say to yourself and what you believe who you really are. So your worth, your value have to be validated by yourself. and not by other people. If you know yourself better, if you know how to maximize, magnify your strengths, your uniqueness, and you're confident about who you really are, then everything's going to be okay. Then that's how engaging can you be because you're confident. And again, when talking to others, do not be intimidated. And if you feel na, oy, mas maganda siya sa'yo, okay lang yun. Diba? Kung mas magaling siya, okay lang. Kasi lahat naman tayo may kanya-kanyang ganda, may kanya-kanyang galing. So, our downfall of human beings is when you always compare yourself with others, that you fail to see who you really are. But if you have that habit of embracing yourself, of loving yourself, and giving that validation that you're worthy, then you'd be socially engaging.
Very
Yun
well
lang po.
said, sir. We also have another question. Sorry. How would you describe a good and effective communication during interview employment? And what are those body languages that we should project during the interview? From Alessandro del Castillo.
Hi, Alessandra. Can you go back to the first part, Miss Eileen?
Describe what a good and effective
Oh,
communication.
okay. Good and effective communication is when you have understood the message, if you're able to answer the question, and if you're able to convey the message that you want the interviewer to understand at your point of view, from your viewpoint. No? For gestures, if you're making a point, if you want to stress, then you can use your hands, but you have to limit, no? Pero syempre hindi bawal yung de cuatro, yung nagaganon yung paa sa
Yeah, yeah.
okay? Sa interviews. So just put your feet together, no? Legs na ganon, thighs, and then your hands na ganon lang, nasa lap. And then if you want to make a point, it's okay to stress, to dapat open palm, never ever point, please. It's very rude. So open palm lang. But when you dapat nasa chest part lang siya, nasa breast part nandito. If you hindi yung ganon, hindi siya yung we are the world, hindi yung ganon. Dapat andito lang yung just when you make emphasis, no? When you emphasize something, you try to make a point, you try to emphasize a point, then you can use gestures, but never ever point. Okay? Open palm, that's okay. Open ganyan. Nakikita ba? Mm-mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir,
Control your
last.
gestures, ba yung
Yeah,
mga
you
ganyan-ganyan. Tsaka
gesture.
and then, pag pumunta po kayo sa interviews, please don't wear your accessories, yung mga bling-bling, kasi maingay po siya. So, dapat nothing. A watch is okay, pero yung mga, isang bracelet, okay lang, pero wag masyadong marami. Kasi tutunog yun kapag gumawa tayo if we make use of our hands, no, during, the course of communication. So, mag-iingay yun, okay? And just dab a scent. Cologne lang, hindi naman yung masangsang. Nag-personality development na. Ayun po. But anyway, it's part of, yeah. Mm-mm.
Last question, sir. Is handshaking part of communication, especially
Yes
during
po.
job interview?
Yes, but if the interviewer offered his or her hand, and that's the time you can shake his or her hand. Hindi po nanggagaling sa atin yon. So na tayo yung ini-interview. It should come from the one who's doing the interview. And then when you shake, firm handshake, and then isang ganun lang, hindi yung ganyan-ganyan. Kasi hindi naman tayo friends, no? So isang grip lang, strong grip, and then, just make like this. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but make sure it's just here, yung handshake po, it's within the length of your chest part or waist, no? Hindi dito, hindi naman sobrang below.
Yeah.
Okay?
Our topic is really very, very healthy for everyone. It seems that it's really a need as an essential, especially during interview process. Last question. When I received this text, what is the difference, sir, between interpersonal and intrapersonal communication?
Okay, it's part of intelligence, yeah, no? Because we have 9 types of intelligence. We have verbal linguistics, spatial intelligence, in visual, musical intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, where people make use of their bodies and all. We have interpersonal intelligence, meaning you're good with people, no? interpersonal skills, meaning you can carry a conversation. You have this you have this kind of people-oriented thing that you can just easily talk to anybody with anything under the sun. Intrapersonal communication, intrapersonal intelligence, meaning magaling po tayo sa ating sarili. Okay? So yun yung difference. Ituloy ko lang, then we also have, ano sinabi ko? We have verbal, math and logic. That's another intelligence. We have naturalistic intelligence, where we learn from nature, from our environment. We also have the existential intelligence, meaning we question our existence. We try to figure out our purpose in life. So these are 9 types of intelligence that you can also Google and read about it and figure out which is dominant intelligence, no? Tapos meron na ring yung mga emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence, and all that. So just look at where kung saan tayo and then focus on it. And focus on your strengths. Kung ano ka, celebrate it. Okay? So again, intra is within ourselves, inside, no? Inner personal, people, no? With people. Others. So it's from the self, others, society. Okay?
There you have it. Okay. You see why this communication or this skill is really very important and part of the 24 skills requirement. It will really create, make or break a career in you.
Right.
Okay.
Just for everybody's benefit, make it a habit to talk to yourself. No, wag tayong maniwala sa mga kasabihan na pag kinakausap po natin ang ating sarili, ay ikaw ay isang baliw. Though lahat naman tayo may pagkabaliw, no? But let's take it positively. But what I'm saying is, make it a habit to talk to yourself, stand in front of a mirror, and talk to yourself verbally. No? Parang nagde-declaim, oratorical contest, parang mga debate, no? And if you watch videos on YouTube, try to repeat what you're saying based on your understanding. If you read books, try to read them out loud as if you're a broadcaster or a newscaster. So make use of your verbal skills. Practice doesn't really make you perfect, but practice makes you permanent.
And yes, for our students, you have a lot of time to practice, to read, to pronounce words with correct enunciation, right? Because
Yeah.
communication is not only spoken, not only written, not only telecommunication, but we're going electronic communication at this time. And of course, you learn a lot from Mr. Jonathan Chong's presentation, and you will be hearing more of our presentation and upcoming online training when we talk detail about communication and comes along with confidence and projection. So watch out for our next activities and of course online training for that. And so I'm sure a lot of you will have, of course, we would like to keep Sir Jason, but we have very, very limited time at this, of course, webinar. So we would like to present at this point our appreciation certificate of appreciation to our keynote speaker for today, Mr. Jonathan Chong, for his invaluable contribution as our keynote speaker to talk about 21st century skills requirement, essentials of communication, given this 17th day of July 2020, Fairfax Center, Pasay City, signed by yours truly, and of course, our president, Miss Janet Cordero. Sir, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm
Thank you. I
sure you
really
have the hard
appreciate it.
copy already and
Yes,
our
I already
simple
have it.
token.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I hope we had more time to interact with others. I'm very traditional. I still prefer the face to
Face to
face,
face.
wherein we can solicit, we can interact with our trainees and students. That's where we get to understand their emotions. And that's
Yes, and
really
that's where the
important.
intuitive will come, not only the
Yes.
cognitive, right? And
Opo.
definitely with the new normal, we would be able to integrate that. And of course, with your expertise, of course, being a coach of the beauty pageants, one thing I would like to, of course, keep in mind personally, okay, that I've learned from you is how to keep that tone of voice while you are speaking, how you maintain that posture while you are talking, right? And that
Yes.
basically
Thank you.
projects the attitude already.
Right.
right?
Just be yourself, guys. Everybody. It's my advice to everyone. Just
Yeah.
be yourself, and you have to appreciate who you really are.
And so with that, Sir Jason, once again, in behalf of our Zoom webinar registrants and our FB viewers, we would like to thank you. And definitely we would like to see more of you in, of course, next learning sessions of SALCI. And probably if you have other learning sessions online where they can get in touch with you, sir.
I there's we have a I have a webinar coming up with ACG Human Capital Solutions on July 22 and 23. Just check the website. I still don't have the marketing thing, but yeah, it's been there will be series of seminars, webinars rather.
Okay, thank you
Mhm.
so much. There you have it. So we will be seeing more of you, and definitely this is not the last for Salty. Of course, we would like to integrate more, and we will have, of course, to hear
Thank you,
more
Mark.
learning stories,
Mhm.
not only about the beauty pageants, but this is basically more of the inter and intrapersonal improvement that we would be needing. Okay, while the industry is healing, of course, we are here to assist you, upskill yourselves. Thank you so much, Sir Jonathan, and we will be seeing
You're
you very,
welcome.
very
It's such a
soon.
pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and stay safe.
Thank you, sir. And now, of course, moving forward, we would like again to present to you SALCI online distance learning programs. Because at this time, we are ready to integrate all our training programs online. We have already forwarded invitations to schools and, of course, to our students. So these are some of the training programs that we will be having online. We have our TESDA accredited training programs, basic passenger service agent course, cargo agent course, ramp agent course. We also have soft skills training program. And eventually we will have our FA virtual workshop, okay? Schedules upcoming, okay, posted already. You can take here a screenshot of our the schedules that we will be having in the next coming days. But of course, we would like to encourage you to please register in, of course, the upcoming program Up in the Air. This basically is a 4 modules. We will have 2 days session with Miss Malu Galang. The registration link is already here. If you have your QR code, you can just take a picture and you can register now. Once again, we would like to thank everyone who have joined us for today's second SALCI webinar. We will be seeing you again on the 24th. That will be the third SALCI webinar for July. For this session is carefully designed, especially for those aspiring flight attendants. We will be talking about the formula, desired step-by-step preparation for you to become a successful flight attendant. Okay? And of course, for those medyo nabitin ng konti about the employment interviews, okay, rest assured that we already prepare something for you, and that is also coming up this July 27, okay? We have our last webinar for July when we talk about virtual interview guidelines and protocols. So this will happen like a mini workshop. We'll have, of course, commonly asked questions like, tell me something about yourself. Like, why do you think the company should not hire you? Okay, so please be ready. Please register for this virtual interview guidelines protocol workshop. And of course, we have something very, very good for our students. Preparation and appreciation for online distance learning. We have invited a very good friend, a doctor in, of course, academe, to give you ideas on the preparation, okay, for students to appreciate LMS virtual training program. So all packed in for July 27 workshop. Okay, so with that, we would like to end this second webinar series of SALSI. And a reminder for those who have actually joined us in our Zoom meeting and those who actually join in our FB live stream, if you'd like to receive a certificate for this webinar, I'd like you to please click on the link for the post evaluation. Of course, we would like to hear from you. We would like to hear also suggestions, what topic you would like us to prepare in our next webinar series. as a reference for sending you the e-certificate. Again, here's the link. So thank you so much. Yes, a shout out to Sir Mark Adam, to Sir Erwin Narito, and Sir Boyet of De La Salle Dasma. Thank you so much. So with that, I would like again to give a salute. Thank you so much again to our students, to our academician. Thank you so much, of course, for availing SALCI online training program. This is not, of course, the last program. We have prepared a lot for you. This will come, of course, series. We have again July 24 and July 27. So what are you waiting for, guys? See you all next webinar and register now. Thank you and God bless.